Well, hello and welcome to a hospitality industry roundtable unlike anything you've ever seen before. Now, look, all of us have sat through our fair share of Zoom calls and meetings and things along those lines throughout this entire pandemic. And I want to assure you, this is not one of those experiences. We promise that this will be a lively and fun discussion of the issues affecting everyone across the world of hospitality. We want this to be an interactive experience. So if you're joining us today, you're part of the conversation. You're joining right alongside our panelists and myself today. Feel free to drop questions, comments in that comment section in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And we're not going to wait to the end to answer your questions. If you drop a question in there, we're going to jump right into our conversation with that question. We'll call a timeout. We'll answer your question right then and there. Also, we want you to know that one lucky winner today is going to walk away with a new pair of Bose headphones. So stick around for that. We'll announce our winner at the end of the broadcast. It's going to be an exciting day. We're going to have an awesome time. And now let's meet our outstanding panel for today's event. Francis, Chris, Michael, and Jesse, thank you all so much for joining us here on our Hospitality Roundtable today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, we got some energy. We got the hand claps from Jesse. We're going to kick things off today with a little segment I'm calling the warm-up. Now, it might sound like we're easing into things, but it's my little... Iverson, you know, he didn't love practice. If you get that reference, I'm proud of you. It's very, very good. All right, let's start off here. My first story today is going to go to Jesse. I couldn't have Jesse on without doing a little segment about baseball and talking a little bit about some big events and some things going on. Now, Jesse, I don't know if you saw this headline recently from Sports Business Daily that read something like, Ken Griffey Jr. will try to bring the cool factor back to MLB as an advisor. Now, this is something that I think a lot of companies try. They try to hire someone who is the face of change and the face of, hey, we want to be exciting. We want to be interactive. We want to be cool. Ken Griffey Jr. was the coolest baseball player ever. But how do you feel about this strategy of a brand like Major League Baseball, or, you know, this could be any brand across any industry, hiring someone to simply just be the face and try to change perception that way?
Well, I'll do the hat backwards for Griffey right here, because I love what Griffey rocked with the hat backwards. I think if you have to say that you need to bring the cool factor back, then you're not. It's like at your retail location say, here's a selfie station. You know, you actually just need to actually bring the cool factor back. So I think there's an issue with saying, hey, we're going to bring in Griffey to bring it back. Start doing it. Start acting it. Start making baseball fun. There's a challenge in Major League Baseball, and it's too long, too slow, too boring. And I think they need to actually have the players that are playing actually having fun, not say, hey, we're going to bring back the old people who had fun. No, start doing it. Fernando Tatis, Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, start making that happen. So to go even further with brands, some companies do it well. Some companies don't do it well. T-Mobile, yes, I'm one of the few people that went to T-Mobile 5 years ago. Well, it's because of John Ledger. He was fun. He was different. He was unique. He said he was worried about creating fans. He wasn't worried about creating money. There's a big difference there. When you look at Steve Ballmer with Microsoft, or the gentleman that came in after Arthur Blank in Home Depot, they're focused on revenue, profits. So if you're going to do a rebrand, bring in some people that actually care about creating fans and actually start doing it. Don't saying this is how we're going to do it. Start doing it. And I think that's what Major League Baseball has to do, and I think that's what some of the best brands have done.
Anybody disagree with Jesse?
No, I think it's you got to create experiences, right? And you don't need to talk about it. You need to do it. So dead on. I think Jesse's dead on with that. Absolutely.
Jesse's absolutely right. It doesn't get any cooler than Ken Griffey Jr., but, you got to turn the hat backwards and that sort of thing. But he's right. You got to start doing. It's not about talking. It's not about bringing somebody in to be cool. You just have to go out and be cool. Create those experiences like he's talking about. And I want to talk about another experience, a company that's doing something unique. Chris, this is a story for you. It comes out of Philadelphia, the lovely city that infamously booed Santa Claus and threw snowballs at him back in the day. But This is from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Visit Philadelphia has recently launched a campaign trying to encourage more people to stay at hotels locally and enjoy the amenities there. So go and try the restaurant, go to the spa, things like that, as a way to boost the hospitality business in the city of Philadelphia. How do you feel about that idea? Is that a good idea?
Well, I think at the moment it's a great idea. We've actually turned our whole business model on its head last year when we weren't able to get people traveling around the world, which is our core goal as a global alliance. We want to move people from one of our member brands to another, and we just weren't able to do that last year. And so we had to switch our business around and say, actually, how many customers do we have living in markets that we wouldn't normally target for traveling to that market because they live there? Obviously, our goal is to get people to travel outbound. And so we actually looked at all of our loyal customer base and said, where do you live and which hotels do you have within a 10-mile radius? Why don't you come and spend some time in some of our hotels, food and beverage, spas, and getting the local community to engage with our hotels? And that proved very popular. Certainly cities where we had a good number of hotels and a good customer base. For example, here in Dubai, we've got about 30,000 customers living here that normally travel around the world, loyal to our different brands, living here in Dubai, stuck here in Dubai. We got them into our hotels. Nikki Beach, Friday afternoon parties on the beach. Everyone loved it. Give them special treatment, look after them, make them enjoy themselves. So yeah, we've taken a different approach in that regard, and we call it Live Local, and we think it's at the moment at least the right way to go. And I think it's something that's going to emerge as a trend as we come into a recovery in the next couple of years, is people looking to their local communities, traveling closer to home until they get used to that long-haul international travel again.
I think that's a great point. Francis, is this something that boutique hotels and more kind of specialized locations can look into trying as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, boutiques are all about the experience, about being real. They tell their stories, they're authentic. They're kind of like, the difference to what we call corporate monotony. They're into creativity. And I think they've been super popular during this pandemic over the last year because they're in drive market. People are looking for something different, etc. So boutiques are on the rise. They are what people want. One big brand CEO told me, he pulled me aside and said, hey, there's a little bit of boutique in all of us. And I believe that is so true. It's kind of in our DNA. It's what we love at the end of the day.
Francis is absolutely right. It's what we love. We love those boutique and those specialized experiences, right? And I think that's a fantastic answer. Let's all pull out our pocket protectors and slip those in our pockets because we're going to get a little techie here. Michael is our tech guru, so we're going to go to Michael next. Michael, more and more hotels and places across the hospitality industry are trying to create contactless experience and utilize technology in new and fun and exciting ways. But can hotels still kind of provide that personal experience that comes with, seeing somebody face to face while still going more contactless and utilizing technology? Where's the balance there? And how does a hotel or how does a hospitality venue do this the right way?
Yeah, I think, absolutely they can. And I think it's about the quality of technology they purchase, right? So it's about purchasing smart technology. So let's just take a simple example related back to experiences. So if you're going to open a hotel, you're not going to have, your lighting really dim all day long. You're not going to have your air conditioner not working. You're not going to have your heater not working. You're not going to do things that create an environmentally unpleasant experience. Yet you walk into a hotel, you've been locked down with COVID for a year. You can't wait to go see your friend from our family from across country. You get together to meet and the music is so loud you can't even have the conversation with them. You're screaming at them, trying to talk to them. And as a result, you're face to face with them like nose to nose. The waitresses or servers having to come over and be right on top of your table. And so I think that using smart technology that can automatically adjust the audio volume to the level of the environment creates a more positive experience, creates an intelligent experience, and allows people to get close enough to catch up without being too close. And there's all kinds of other technology that have been introduced related to temperature checking and all kinds of aspects that can be subtly installed into an environment where you can identify if there is an issue and keep everybody else together where there's not an issue. So absolutely, I think technology should be a core part of the experience and should be thought of as part of the experience going forward.
Chris, is technology the way forward for hotels? Do you agree with Michael and his assessment there?
I think so, but I don't think it should be a core focus of a hotel from a product experience point of view. I think people go to hotels and will so more. It sort of goes back to what I was saying earlier, looking for an overall experience. They're coming to meet people, as Michael was saying. They're coming to see the local landmarks or look at environment. There may be on business or meeting related trips that involve getting out of the hotel. And sometimes hotels get fixated with how all the technology can work in a room, for example. I still think today people are genuinely frustrated if they go into a room which has too much technology. It takes them half an hour to work out how to switch the lights on, how to make the heating work. I think, to me, technology in the future is going to be more focused on what you like and what technology does for you. So I think the person experience that enables you to watch your own movies on a television, to use your own device to check in, use your own device as a key card. I think those are the technology experiences that are going to make people's the efficiency of what they're doing with how they're engaging with a hotel better, and therefore they're more likely to choose a hotel that offers that. But I think in-room gadgetry, probably at this stage in the economic cycle, is not a good investment for hotels. I think keeping it simple for customers and letting them use technology that they like and effectively interfaces or engages with what they do day to day that will make them feel most comfortable.
Jesse, you fill up a baseball stadium that is very, very old and doesn't utilize a lot of technology, things along those lines. Can technology be an effective tool to create personalized experiences? Or do you think that we rely on technology too much?
I think Chris said it in the sense that whatever makes your life easier for a customer. You know, again, start with the customer, start with the customer, start with the customer. So yes, I'm against technology in the sense that when I want people to come to our ballpark, I want them to escape. I don't want them to have to watch TV. So we don't have a digital scoreboard. We don't have suites. But I wear this every day to remind me this is a magic band from Disney World, because I remind me that, you know what, it does make the experience better. It does make it easier. So there are values to entertainment. But I think just start with your customer and say, all right, what's the best possible experience? What are those friction points? We map every single friction point. We go undercover every night as a fan and go through the experience. And if there's friction points that technology will help serve better, we will explore it. But I think to an extent, people do want to have an escape. They want to be able to, they are addicted. We are all addicted to these phones. And where can we create an experience where they can just live in the moment? They can enjoy it. They don't have to go take a picture. They can just be there. I think that human connection and that experience is very important, and we're trying to embrace that with our team.
Michael, final word on technology.
No, listen, I agree with exactly what they're both saying. I think that it should be in the background and should be an important part of the process, though. I think when people don't think about it, it can ruin the experience. And I agree with Chris wholeheartedly. As a person who spent a lot of years traveling around the world, I don't want a lot of gadgetry in my room, but when I'm in the lobby meeting someone, I also don't want it to be so loud that I can't talk to them, or there's no environment where it's not a comfortable place to sit and meet. So I still think it has to be incorporated into the experience in creating something that's more positive, but it shouldn't be something that we need to mess with, to quote Jesse, right? It's something that that should be inherently designed into the space, so it creates more positive experiences.
Hey, Tyler, I just wanted to say, you need to know your customers too, because if you have a luxury customer that wants a little bit of both, you really need to be able to provide that. And some customers actually do like all the gadgets in the room, like, you know, closing the curtains, turning on the TV from bed, you know, type of thing. So I think you just have to be cognizant of being able to meet customers where they want to be when it comes to tech.
That's an excellent point, Francis. And I want to stick with you for a second because I have a question about boutique hotels and maybe some more of the luxurious staying type places. One of the things that has stood out to me during this time has been the necessity for businesses of all kinds to be adaptable, to be flexible. Is that an advantage that boutique hotels have had during this time, perhaps? Is that they're not this gigantic apparatus. They're able to maybe adapt a little bit quicker to trends they're seeing in the marketplace. Is that something you've noticed?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you don't have someone kind of, I don't want to say it nasty, but I mean, breathing down your neck, sort of, here's your book, here's what you have to follow. You've got, you know, an owner or a GM and staff that are able to kind of pivot quickly depending on what's going on in the world. So they can make changes today if they want to, and can, you know, meet the customer where they need to meet the customer. So I think they do have that advantage, very flexible. They can be as creative as they want. They can turn a lobby into an event space overnight if they want to. Not saying that anybody can't do that, of course, but I think what I've seen is that they're really able to take advantage of being independent.
Guys, let me open up the floor. Thoughts?
I think it's been interesting to see how the big brands have reacted to the pandemic crisis versus the independents. I agree with Francis. I think it's been easier for the independents to do cool things quickly to try and attract new customers and to try and, as we described, as I was describing earlier, turning, for example, the whole concept of international travel loyalty into local programs with local hotels. I think that was something that appealed to local communities during this lockdown. Is that I don't want to go and spend my weekend at a Marriott, but if there's a cool hotel nearby that's offering something a little bit different, I'd like to do that. You could see the big brands tended to focus on what I would call the big political messages. And I don't mean to be political by saying that, but what I mean is that they focus on the sort of safety issues. You know, if you come to Accor or a Hilton or Marriott, every door will have been cleaned and every bathroom will have been inspected 5 times, and all those big corporate messages that I think at the end of the day were probably too much for everyone to absorb, and they did them too quickly. And the question will be, when travel rebounds, and it is going to rebound, and I think the focus primarily will be on leisure travelers first, I think independents are going to be better positioned because leisure travelers are going to look to have fun. That's what they want to do. They've been locked down for a year. They want to get out. They want to see family and friends. They want to have a drink, relax, and do the things they haven't been able to do for a year. And to be given lectures by brands about how brilliant they are at hygiene is not necessarily what they're going to be hearing. So I do think the smaller independents have got a chance to come out of this pandemic with some different, more attractive messaging about why their products are going to be more fun to engage with. And they're going to offer different experiences. We talked earlier about experiences, but I think that's the messages the independents need to get across now, not this big brand corporate message that it sort of feels that it's aimed at business travelers. You know, don't worry, if you send your people on the road again, they will be safe with us. Well, great, that's fine, and we trust they will be. But I think we've got to focus more on leisure messaging and differentiated experiences out of this recovery. And I think independents will do that very well and can do that faster than the big brands can.
That's a great point you made, Chris. People are tired of the corporate messaging and the things along those lines. And I think you're absolutely right about that. And that's certainly been a hallmark of these times. Any final thoughts before we close out the warm-up?
I'll just say, as Chris just mentioned about differentiation, I think one of the biggest challenges all these brands are, if you ask what makes them different, they don't have a great answer. When you look at Hilton, Marriott, all these other, what makes you different? And that's what these boutiques have. It's a different experience. And I think, what are you the only one doing that no one else is doing? And that's why, you know, Airbnb is winning, because it's a unique, different experience that people can get. And now we are hungry for that. We've all stayed in hotel rooms. They could say we have a little bit more technology, but what do you have? For us, we have to make a baseball game so dramatically different because everyone has seen, felt, heard a baseball game, and they're sick of it. They're bored. So I think that's where hospitality will win. Write down all those differentiators. What makes you different? What are you the only one? That's what's going to be what separates brands in the next few years.
That's going to wrap up the warm-up.
Yes.
Now let's move on to a little segment I like to call the showdown.
Guns.
Oh yeah, it's the showdown. We're meeting out in front of the saloon or going into the octagon, however you want to think about it. That's what the showdown is. I'm going to throw out a topic to one of you. We're going to get your answer, and then everyone is going to tell you why they disagree with you. And that is the showdown. So Jesse, you're going to get us kicked off with this, Jesse Cole, because you're the man in the yellow tuxedo. That's the rules. I don't make the rules. I just follow them. So Jesse Cole, you are put in charge tomorrow. You are the new czar of customer experiences for the entirety of the hospitality industry. Big events, hotels, airlines, all of the hospitality industry. You are now the czar of the customer experience. You're a customer experience guru as it is. Tell us, what are you changing tomorrow? What are the first things that you do?
Thank you for such a specific question, not to go in like you under very narrow subject. So thank you for that. The czar of everything. All right. Well, let's start with our customers. So if we're looking, you can't do hotels, airplanes, everything. The starting point of all innovation is eliminate the friction. Eliminate the frustration point. So it's very, very simple. If you look at what are the frustration points for airlines, what are the frustration points for hotels, you can start there. I mean, for us, so what do you look at? Airlines, all right? How do you make it easier, faster? Why does it still take us hours to kind of get through the whole process? Why do we have to be there so early? Why do we have to go through? Why is TSA pre-check the way it is? Or, I'm TSA pre-check, but if you don't have that, why do you have to wait at the gate? When you sit down now, especially, they're not serving anybody. They're not doing food. They're not doing drinks. All that experience, there's lots of frustrations. How do you change that? Same thing with a hotel experience. If you were to think like Amazon, what's your one-click experience for a hotel? What does it look like? Or Airbnb? How right that boom and everything's taken care of. You don't have to ask questions. How do you answer those questions? So to answer that as a SAR, you have to ask with the questions first. What are the macro frustrations, friction points, and then start looking at the micro. And that's how we look at it at a baseball game in our sporting events. So if you want to get more specific, we can dive there, but that's where I would start with all the friction points with everything, with events too. Obviously people are doing virtual, but that's not gonna, that needs to change. I think people need to be in person. They need to be around each other. We need to find ways to do it. We played this past season during COVID with, I'll say, a limited capacity, but had 0 positive cases. Find a way. I think let's start waiting for everyone to tell us what we have to do. Find a way to create a better experience and give people what they want. That's where I'd start. It's a tough question.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good answer.
Is it easier said than done, though?
Is it everything?
Of course it is. It's easier said than done because of your motivation. Right? I mean, this has been said a couple of times in the call. There's a lot of these companies that all of us, we support with our money and time a lot of times because that's the lifestyle we live at that point. And you're putting money in their pocket, but their interest is not necessarily customer service. Their interest is the bottom line and earnings per share and those kind of things, right? So, it's one of the reasons I work for a private company, family owned. We have a different set of values than we would if we were a public company. I've worked for public companies and it's a different experience. It's a wholly different experience because you're allowed to make the customer the focus. And so, so I think Jesse's right. I think the question is it harder than it should be? Yeah, of course it is. But that's because their focus isn't about making it the best. It's about minimizing conflict for them and raising profits.
So
I was going to say, what I found in this independent boutique space is the owners and the founders and the top management, they're very synergistic with each other. So they're willing to kind of come out and work with each other and help each other and talk candidly. That's what we're hearing, from our association when we're on our board and committee calls. I've never seen this before, and I've been in hospitality my entire life. So I think it's really refreshing to see everybody kind of open up. We're like a family, and that's how you get good outcomes.
I think interesting on the airline story, Jesse, and the thing I picked up, we're meant to contradict you, right? So I have to disagree with you. This is the purpose of this section. So airlines, queues, right? I mean, I'm British. We like queuing. Okay, so why do you want to make it so efficient? It's part of the experience. You go to an airport, you have to queue up for an hour. It's you look at the people around you, you enjoy the time, you wonder, you kind of play a game as to how long it's going to take to get to check-in and whether the person checking you in is going to be in a good mood, whether they're going to give it an extra luggage or not, whether they're going to, it's just part of the whole travel experience. And as for security, right? I mean, who wants to get on a plane where you haven't been through every single security check possible?
All right.
Because after all the years with liquids and everything else, now we're going to have COVID, right? So you first of all got to have your PCR test to prove you don't have COVID. Then you're going to have your vaccine certificate to prove you are vaccinated. But the PCR certificate will be designed to make sure that even though you were vaccinated, you got the right vaccine and you're still negative. And just think how long that's going to take when I translate my version, which is in Arabic, into Spanish, because I'm trying to get into Barcelona, and they say, no, you have to have it. I mean, come on, isn't this part of the fun of travel? And are you going to want to take that away and make it more efficient? No, I can't agree with you.
Chris, I want you at our ballpark. I want to put you in a line and say, isn't this fun? Just enjoy this line. Luckily, we have people that sing in lines, so we add some entertainment to it. But hey, Tyler, I think it's just a question that we kind of danced around a little bit. It's the two question between people getting together and say, how do we create fans versus how do we create revenue and profit? And if you have you ask that question, you get two completely different answers most of the time. And I think what a lot of times big corporate brands are profit, revenue versus how do you create fans. Yeah. It doesn't make sense for us to literally get rid of all of our advertising at our ballpark and create an ad-free ballpark, throwing away hundreds of thousands of dollars. But we believe no one comes to a ballpark and wants to be advertised to, sold to, or marketed to. We answered it by creating fans. And I think this is why Amazon has won. This is why Disney has won. This is why Chick-fil-A wins. So I think in hospitality, ask that question. And then what happens is it'll turn into revenue more long-term. Long-term fans over short-term profit. And that's kind of the mindset that I think people will win in hospitality.
Yes. Stop being focused on the stock price and be focused on exactly what you're talking about, Jesse.
Well, I think
what a showdown.
The interesting. One other point on hospitality, because of course it's hospitality close to my heart. But the one-click thing with Amazon, I've thought about that so often when you look at an experience of booking a hotel. And the thing is about an airline, you want it to be quick, you want it to be fast. Basically, at the end of the day, all the products are the same. It's a metal tube and it's got small seats, middle-sized seats and big seats. And you're going to choose one of them and you choose the price and you book the flight. But when it comes to choosing hotels, I'm not talking about business travel because you get herded to wherever your business travel management company tells you where to go. But if you're staying in a hotel for leisure and you're going to spend $200-300 a night, in some cases $1,000 a night or more, you want the choosing of that experience to be part of the experience. It's like the journey is as exciting as arriving. And so I do think that there is an aspect to choosing a hospitality experience that we've got to improve in a good way, not so much making it shorter, one click. There's no such thing as one click. You're going to the Maldives or you're coming to Dubai to one of our amazing hotels here. There's no way you're going to do it in one click. You need to research. There's so many great places to stay. So I can't agree with everything of the Amazon one click when it comes to hospitality, especially at the luxury end. What we've got to do is work with people like luxury travel agents and people who know our product that can help sell our product for us and do that well. And I think that adds to the whole buying experience. I think where Marriott's and Hilton, sorry to keep mentioning them, get it wrong, is that they are too focused on one click. And therefore people think this is just a commodity. Basically, one click, I've got a room, it's going to be the same. It's just a box, 25 square meters, and that's it. And it'll be the same wherever I go, which was good in the 1980s, but it's not good in the 2020s. And so I have to disagree on that one as well.
Well, I'll jump in and disagree with that. Just a point to say that, honestly, as a business traveler, the hotel is not the experience I'm going for. The hotel is the place that I'm going to stay that, I'm 6'4", and the first time I went to Japan, I didn't think about, hotel space. And so my hotel was about the size of the desk I'm working at today, and my bed and my legs hung out, about this far off the bed. And, and I was just I wasn't looking for an experience for the hotel. My experience was going to be being in Japan and working with those customers and with those people. And so I think the part of the challenge, for a lot of business travelers, it's not just the points. But it is the idea that, look, I get a predictable outcome. I know what the experience is going to be. I know who's going to have room service and who's not going to have. I'm not going to have to try to figure it out, and I can build the rest of the experience, which is my meetings, the people I'm seeing, all of the other stuff around it. So, you know, I've done Marriott and Hilton for a long time, both, and I agree. For my personal travel with my family, I'm probably going to look for something different. But for work, I like predictable and easy. It makes it fast and allows me to focus on what I want to focus on.
That's a great point. You know, and one of the things that I tend to think about when I think about the impact of a situation like COVID-19 is that I think people have their preconceived ideas of how they feel about an industry. I relate it back to sports because I relate everything back to sports. But when you see an athlete who is prickly with the media throughout their entire career and then they get into trouble, the media is just going to bury them because they didn't like them in the first place. But if there's an athlete that was always kind to the media and generally a good guy and everybody liked them, then as soon as something goes wrong in their career, the media is much more quick to write puff pieces about how wonderful of a person they are and how good of a person they are off the field and that sort of thing. And I think the same can be true of hospitality, right? I think for so many years, we look at airlines and we say, they just want to cram more of us in and have me pay the same amount of money and charge me fees. And so then we hit a situation like COVID-19 and I don't have a favorable idea of airlines right now. Do you?
No, they packed everyone in. It was the same.
Except for, you know, Delta that leaves the seat empty in the middle, which I think is, you know, great. Yeah.
But, you know, there was a great article in one of the big publications here in the United States that talked about this idea of revenge travel. And it talked about, you know, from personally, right, the people that missed their 20th anniversary trip, they're going to now take 2 weeks instead of 1 week and that kind of thing. But for business travelers, there's people that aren't used to being around their families this much. And candidly, right, and they're used to being out on the road. They're being road warriors. They have one personality all day long, which is I'm a salesperson or I'm a tech or I'm a whatever it is. And I think a lot of those people, they're dying to get out, and some of them may not be seen at home except for the holidays once they finally get green lit to go. And my team's coming in with requests on a constant basis now, already getting customer requests to come out on site. So I think that they're itching to go. They're itching to go, and they don't like the airlines, but you know what? It gets them back in that routine. It gets them back in that lifestyle that they craved, that got them into it in the first place, and they're ready to get back out there and get to doing it.
Yeah, I think the airlines had become unpopular because by 2019 they started to make a lot of money again for the first time in decades, and naturally what happens when all companies get to that situation is you get people that come in and say, we can squeeze more profit, we can squeeze more revenue, and what you could sense with the airlines is that they become money machines again. Flexibility had gone out of the window. Customer service, the idea that you were top tier in a loyalty program, which I remember 20 years ago was sort of sacred ground. It was like everyone's top tier. Everyone gets, you know, average recognition. So the idea of any sort of person experience had sort of gone out of the window, everything getting dumbed down. Yes, the seats are getting bigger, but I think airlines have got a lot to think about, in particular in terms of being more flexible. And understanding that people's travel plans have had to change. I sit here, Emirates is our local airline, and Emirates is obviously known around the world for great product, but they've also prided themselves on great service. The first thing they did when COVID started is they said any ticket you book is completely flexible. Doesn't matter what flight you book, where you're going, it's flexible. You can change it any time. You get COVID travel insurance wherever you go, so don't worry about traveling. If you get stuck somewhere, you've got COVID travel insurance. Now, it sounds like gimmicky, but it actually works. My son came over at Christmas from Barcelona. It was a hassle to get him on a flight because of all the things I just explained about testing and that. He got over here and he caught COVID. Great. Not great. And his girlfriend got COVID. And my daughter got COVID. In fact, the whole house got COVID. And so there we are sitting there. So basically, we had to keep canceling his flight back because he couldn't test negative for several weeks. But Emirates were fantastic. Every time I called them back, they said, sure, when do you want to put the flight back to? And I just feel that that's just a small example, but it becomes very personal when it comes down to these sorts of things. And airlines have got to go back to being personal. I think hotels did it better over the years, but they've also commoditized. I think, Michael, you were just saying Hilton, Marriott, all became about business travelers, volumes, meetings, and everyone was just a number in the revenue management system. I think they've got to go back to looking at what people need when they travel and that flexibility and the types of approach to pricing that I think have become too mechanical, too automated. We've got to go back to that personal, customer-oriented approach again. And if COVID teaches us anything else, it's the human side of life and experiences. And I think we can bounce back really well if we, the hospitality industry in particular, but the airlines as well, have to learn that we need to look at customers as people again, and not just numbers and revenue management tools, which is what we've become.
Francis, is there?
Well, it's funny because I was just going to say real quick, hospitality usually follows airlines, right? When it came to revenue management and everything else, they learned from the airlines. And I think, everything you said, Chris, is correct. I mean, we've got to go back to hospitality, true hospitality, things like resort fees and other things that really upset people, and all the fees and everything else that the airline said. We have to get back to treating all of us human, and that goes along with the dollar.
I'll jump on that. I think policy should be a 4-letter word. When you say this is our policy, this is our policy, this is our policy, I understand the safety, but when it says it's our policy, we can't take care of you, or you have to pay for this, you have to pay for that. It's that human connection that matters most. We don't talk about policy. We have no convenient fees, no ticket fees, no shipping fees, because people don't want that. And I think that's the same thing. What are we going to do next to be able to just take care of people? And I think when a corporate company goes all the way down, the people at the bottom aren't told. They say, this is the policy. If they want a refund here, you have to try to do this, 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 because they're focusing on the dollars. And I think that's going to be the difference maker.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the amazing thing is when you can be growing your profits every year, and you've got 5-year plans, and we're going to grow profit by 10% every year for the next 5 years, and we're just going to get richer and richer, and our shareholders will be happier and happier. And suddenly COVID hits, and we lost 65% of our revenue last year. Business travel was down 95%. It's like you've got a chance to rethink everything, because there's not a single number that makes sense anymore. So you can actually wind everything back and say, okay, what are the really important things for customers now? Because if we go back to what will actually bring customers back, that's the only way that your business is going to survive in the future. The numbers are irrelevant. You're losing money. You don't even need to worry about, your monthly or quarterly reports, because everyone knows they're going to be negative. So it's like, let's focus on innovation. Let's focus on the customer again. Yes. Suddenly people will start paying attention to things that are really important in a business, rather than your monthly financial report, which is so awful, no one wants to look at it. They just kind of turn their head away and say, you're going to be okay. You don't need any cash, do you? And that's sort of what the industry's in at the moment. And I think for the businesses that can get through this with supportive shareholders, and governments have been helping out, which is great, I think it's amazing when you're in how much the travel industry has survived. I mean, it's a fantastic testament to government support, to shareholder support generally, that companies have been able to keep their heads above water so long. No one would have predicted a year ago, if we're in this situation today, that so many businesses would keep going. But I think there's a desire for the travel and hospitality industry to survive. But we, as an industry, owe it to all the people that have helped us survive to start rethinking again what's really important for the future of travel and hospitality. And that goes back to the customer. And we've got to put we have to put the numbers aside for a moment, because to rebuild those P&Ls is 5 years away, and we have to start with revenue again. And we're only going to get revenue and market share if we offer something superior to what we've been offering previous to COVID, in my view. And I think customers will expect that, because they know we need their business. So they're also going to have an expectation. Hey guys, don't start treating me like an idiot. You should be happy that I'm showing up to spend money in your hotel. And that also means that customers have different expectations, and we have to live with that.
What a showdown, Tyler. I think we agreed on almost everything. Really, we got dangerous here. That was brutal. What's next?
So if innovation, if the industry has an opportunity to do a hard reset here, and you mentioned the customer should be the priority, but what are the innovations? What are the things that need to change about the industry moving forward? Whether it's fees, like Jesse mentioned, convenience things, and catering more towards customers, that sort of thing. all very, very good things, but there is an opportunity for a hard reset. So where does that start, and what does that look like practically?
I think.
Well, I think one thing is staffing. Having GMs come out from behind the desk and be there front and center. Forget about the back of the desk. During the day when your customers are there, you need to be out in front. And your staff obviously has to be multitasking, because you're not going to bring your staff back right away. So they're going to have to do multiple different things while the hotel and the world is coming back to life. So you really have to focus on that, and training. And there's so many things you can focus on now in a hotel as the world comes back. And that includes beyond staffing, things like design and innovation and technology and offerings and digitally. What are you doing digitally? That's super important.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's been, part of the corporatization and the sort of huge growth of the big five, if you want to call them that, the Hilton, Marriott, Accor, Hyatt's, etc., is that with that came, and with their profits came, huge growth at corporate office level. And what do corporate offices do? And to Francis's point, they send memos. That's what they do. They've all got jobs, and it's HR, it's finance, it's CSR now. You've got a department for everything, a chief something officer for everything. And to justify their existence, they send gazillion memos out to hotels. So hotel management are sucked in to this corporate machine of all the things you have to do, the policies you have to follow. So in the end, the customer's forgotten in all of that. And I think what you see with the independent brands is you don't have that huge corporate office structure because they can't afford it. Actually, general managers are more like they were in the old days. They're running a business, and the people that are running that business are giving the freedom to express themselves. And you can tell that as a customer. You go to a boutique hotel or a brand like some of the brands that we have that maybe only have 10 or 15 hotels, are great icons in their local markets. And take a Leela in India, for example, or a Pan Pacific in Singapore, or a Capella. Some of the brands that we have, and these are experiences. As soon as you walk into the lobby, it's different. This is not a big corporate experience. And I think the big corporates will, by definition, also change. They'll have downsized their corporate offices. And so by definition, they'll have to give more freedom to the hotels to do their own things, to innovate of themselves, and to move away with this corporatized cookie cutter approach to everything that they do. And I don't mean product, because they've diversified a lot in terms of product. I mean in terms of the way they approach business. Everything in hotels was automated. The GM only came out if it popped up on his screen. This guy's a platinum card holder. You should go out, shake his hand, and then go back again. I think all of it was over-programmed. And I think giving people freedom to be hoteliers again, I think would be a great reset from a COVID point of view.
All right, I'm going to call a quick timeout because we do have a question from the audience from Gina. She says, I think technology can offer autonomy for fans to create experiences that are personal to them. Those experiences which feel more personal are often memorable, which would then possibly result in recurring business and positive word of mouth marketing. Have you seen examples of this in hospitality? Michael, let me kick it to you first. Have you seen examples of those type of experiences leading to repeat business, which is a positive thing?
Well, I think yes, only when you could look at generational differences. So we're all speaking as people that have had some experience. Is that a nice way of saying it? But I think I've got a 23-year-old daughter, and the last thing she wants to do is call somebody on the phone and talk to them. She'd much rather interact through technology, and the same is true for many of her friends. So I think businesses, and I've heard this said before, if they have to call somebody, they're going to choose to find somebody else that's got an app, and they're going to go that direction instead. So I think for a younger generation, they may find that technology and that personalization through technology creates a positive reinforcing experience. Whereas I think, our generation really wants to be able to have that personal common sense approach that's being talked about by the rest of the group here, where there's some common sense actually exercised when you decide what's the right thing I should do in this moment. So that's kind of my thought on it.
I'll jump in, Tyler. I think exactly, Gina, it's a great question. So one thing that we've started doing is every single person that buys a ticket from us or merchandise, we do a thank you call. And now many people, as you guys know, don't answer their phones as much. So we send a personal video to them. And so I'm on the field as the owner of the team. Hey, Gina, thanks so much for getting tickets to our One City World Tour. Can't wait to see you, and send a personal video. And almost often, always, I get a response back. And it's starting that, how do you engage? And some of the best advice that we've received is from actually a hotelier, the Magic Castle Hotel in Hollywood, the second-rated hotel in all of Hollywood. It's an old apartment building. It shouldn't be the second-rated hotel, but it is because of the advice the CEO teaches his team. He says, listen carefully, respond creatively. That's what we teach. Listen carefully, respond creatively. So if a receptionist hears something, why they're in town, they will find a way to respond. So we taught this to our team. So during COVID and lockdown, one of our members posted on Facebook, said, man, I would do anything for Oreo cookies and milk right now. So our ticket experience coordinator went to the grocery store, got Oreo cookies and milk, put it in the mailbox, and sent her a message, said, check your mailbox. You can't do that for everyone. But she went out and shared it like crazy all over social media. I can't believe what the bananas did. And so as Andy Stanley said, do for one what you wish you could do for many. And I think we need to focus on doing things that are unscalable to create those personal touches. And we teach our people that always find an opportunity, listen to what they're saying. Why are they coming to see you? What makes it special? And what can you add on, even if it costs a little bit more money than even what they're paying you? And that's how you can create a fan for life. And so it's hard to teach, but when you give examples, it often helps. And that's why we try to share examples with our team.
I think Jesse's talking about empowerment. And I think that's what's missing. That's the policy thing, right? People are empowered to do the right thing, whether it's through technology, whether it's through customization, whether it's through waiving a fee. What Chris was mentioning with Emirates and being able to waive something, that policy doesn't exist a lot of times. And so because people aren't empowered, they do what they're told to do because that's the metrics they're measured on. So I think that kind of empowerment, that's what people are going to be looking for post-COVID, is to deal with people that are empowered, help them solve their problem or give them a better experience.
And Francis, that kind of dovetails into what you were talking about earlier, just with the flexibility and adaptability that oftentimes the boutique experience can provide. It's not about the policy, it's about the guest a little bit more often. And maybe that's something that people can take away from, that more personal experience, and maybe something that some of these larger companies and larger hospitality brands can certainly learn from.
No, I totally agree with that.
Absolutely.
Go on, Francis.
I was going to say, I think telling the stories, I've been reading a lot of stories on LinkedIn about GMs of these boutique hotels and who are out in the front, and they're doing the most heartwarming things, and they're giving back, it's from their heart, and they're telling those stories. Just one more thing I wanted to add is that in the boutique space, we marry boutique hotels up with boutique businesses because we're trying to give options that make sense, because someone that loves that boutique hotel is also going to want more boutique restaurants and bars and nightlife and museums and retail and things that kind of resonate with who they are. So we think it's an important part of the customer experience with that hotel.
Well, guys, I'm going to wrap up the showdown aspect of our program today. It was more like a Floyd Mayweather fight. Not a lot of punches thrown, a lot of ducks, a lot of moving around and making sure you don't get punched. But I thought it was a fantastic discussion, and I appreciate each of your perspectives and the different ways that you viewed these different topics. I really enjoyed getting your perspectives, and now I know that Chris loves standing in lines.
Yes,
and so
which is
we'll make sure that.
Tyler, who's the winner? You need to call a winner and a loser. Please pick me as the loser.
I'm the winner, and actually,
we're all losers.
No, I'm gonna say Francis is the winner of our showdown here today. Great job, everybody. Great job, Francis. Francis is our winner. But I want to wrap up today on a positive note, and I want to hear from each of you your most positive hotel staying experience, your most positive hospitality experience, whatever it may be it just a personal touch at a hotel, something an airline did for you, anything along those lines. Anybody that touched you in a positive way when it came to the hospitality industry. Jesse, you have a good story you want to share with us?
Yes, I haven't been touched that much recently at the hotel industry, but I've had some great touching moments. I will share this.
That was poor word
No, it's
choice
okay.
on my
Not
part.
a lot of touching going on these days. Yeah, our professional high fiver, our 6-year-old, he thought he lost his job this past year because of COVID. So luckily he came back and became a professional air high fiver. So he still has a job, but it's and we actually pay him, but that's a whole other thing. As far as child labor laws, that's a whole other thing. All right, I have to go Magic Castle Hotel again, and I literally, because I heard about it, I was going to Hollywood. It was a couple of years ago, and I showed up. I was not wearing the yellow tuxedo, and they said, "Mr. Cole, welcome," and they greeted me. They handed me water. Now this is an old apartment building hotel. It's outside. It's not a skyscraper. It's not beautiful. They handed me water, and they walked over and said, "Mr. Cole, welcome to your first stay at the Magic Castle Hotel." And I walk over and they say, "Hey, we know it's your first time. Just want to tell you a few of the things we have going here. Here is our free snack menu. We have snacks all day long. They're free. Our ice cream bar opens up at 3 o'clock. We have free ice cream. You got to try the strawberry so-and-so." And she's like, "You got to have it. It's awesome." And then she said, "Here's our DVD menu." And I said, "DVDs? You still do those things?" And she goes, "Yeah, we have a full DVD menu. We have a DVD player, whatever you like. It's on, you can just come and get it. We'll take care of you. And if you need laundry done, we'll do your laundry. You're good." And this isn't like a 5-star hotel. This is just a regular hotel. And I was blown away. And as I'm walking back to my room, I'm going to my room, I look over and I see in the pool a red phone and it says Popsicle Hotline. And I'm like, "Yes, I do." And I walked over there and I grabbed the phone and said, "Popsicle Hotline, would you like grape, cherry, or orange?" I said, "Orange." I said, "1 second, Mr. Cole." And they walk over with a silver platter and deliver a orange popsicle to me. I was like, this place is magical. And I went to my room. They had Cracker Jacks for me. They had bananas, and they had a note, "Welcome, Mr. Cole." And I was like so blown away. And I talked to the owner, and I interviewed him on my podcast, Business Done Differently. And he said, "You know what?" He goes, "What do you think all that extras cost?" He goes, "All the free drinks, all the ice cream, all the soda, all the popsicles." I go, "It's probably not much." He goes, "It's less than $10 per person." He goes, "We just charge $10 more, and people think it's the most amazing experience there is." They are one of the number 2 highest rated hotel in Hollywood, and it's not a nice hotel aesthetically. It's because they create all these special moments. And I've gone back and it had even a better experience the second time. And I think, how do you create all those extra bonuses? What's your all-inclusive experience? Don't say it's $5 a here, $10 a here, $4 here. Build it in. Create that experience. That's one of the reasons why we do all-inclusive at our ballpark. Every ticket includes all your food because it's a better experience. And I'll never forget that at Magic Castle Hotel.
Boom. That's an awesome story. I like that a lot.
Thank you. I did too.
Like that a lot. Chris, kick us off next.
The hotel's gonna love you.
That's it.
Chris, kick us off next. Give us a good story, a positive interaction that you've had in the hospitality industry. What's your favorite story?
I have too many, and I'm spoiled because I've been in the hotel industry so long. I've worked with luxury hotels, and some of the brands we've got in the Alliance are so unique because they're luxury brands, but unique to the local markets. I mentioned Leela earlier. I mentioned Capella, Kempinski. Nikki Beach we've got here. I've had some unique experiences. They're all very different. We pride ourselves on what we call local experiences. So that's our reward. We don't give away free nights. We offer local experiences. And I think the ones that amaze me, and I put myself in the eyes of our customers, otherwise I'm a bit too spoiled to say these are experiences that necessarily every customer will get, but I put themselves in the eyes of customers. When I've been to a hotel and they've immediately thought about what I would like to do, and I remember going to a very unique place, which is not far from here, where I'm sitting in Dubai, about a couple of hours flight, Salalah in Oman. Some of you may have heard of it. If you haven't been there, you definitely should go there. It's a beautiful town in southern Oman, near the Yemeni border, actually, in beautiful mountains. We arrived at that hotel, and I told them in advance that I wanted to go fishing because they got great fishing off the coast of Salalah. They not only arranged, I was with my wife and some friends, they not only arranged the whole trip, so we basically just went straight out of the hotel. They arranged us to go out into different areas, catch different fish. So we had all the fish we caught, they then brought back, they set up a beach barbecue for us. Then they took us out. We were wondering where we were going, out into the middle of nowhere. He said, "No, this is where I know the shoal of dolphins will be." We spent an hour surrounded by thousands of dolphins, got back, and basically we were in a local Omani boat. He barely spoke any English, but he'd been instructed by the hotel exactly what experience should be. We didn't even know it was part of a package or anything. It was just a genuinely unique, your local experience. And a couple of other springs of mine, the Anantar in Bangkok. They took us to, had a couple of spare hours. They said, if you haven't seen the canals round the back, the street canals, if you like, around Bangkok, you got to do that. They took me out in a little barge for a couple of hours. And those were experiences in the middle of a day of meetings where you suddenly do something like that and you go, wow, that's what travel's all about. And hotels that can deliver that, and that's what we try and get our hotels to think about. I think going a long way to having loyal customers forever, because that's what people travel for. It's those unique experiences. And we've all got personal ones. I've had more than others because of the industry I'm in. But I think hotels that know how to deliver experience that are personalized are the ones that stand out for me.
Francis, hit us with your favorite story.
My favorite story is with my daughter, who's now my partner actually at BLLA. We were traveling in Europe, going to World Travel Market, and then we took a train up to Scotland, and it was super, super cold there. We got very sick. We were in a boutique hotel. They took us to the emergency, and we started to get better. And then I had to speak down in London, so we took the train back, and we ended up actually at what I called a branded boutique hotel. I think it's the second Hotel Indigo actually in the UK. Beautiful, beautiful property. But we were still very ill there. I had to go speak. So I asked the staff if they could just kind of keep an eye on my daughter. Her name is Ariella. And they did. And, they looked in on her. But she got worse. So I asked the hotel staff, well, what can I do? And they said, there's an urgent care here. Why don't you take her over there? So I was very worried about her, being sick that long and, in a foreign country for us. And so we walked over. It was just a couple blocks away. We walked over to the urgent care and I started to check her in, and I turned around, and following me was the hotel manager. And I said, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? And he said, I just wanted to make sure that you were okay. We're worried about you. Please let us know how everything is doing. And when you get back to your room, please call us immediately. We want to deliver some things to you. And I just will never forget that, carrying that, the entire staff, by the way, everywhere we went during our stay there, they were checking in on us and saying, how are you doing? And so it's that real personal touch, that they care about you. And I'll never forget that. It was amazing.
That's an incredible story. I love hearing that and love hearing that personal touch. Michael, bring us home. Give us a positive story. Hit us.
I'll keep it really simple. I've been fortunate to travel around the world, but I went to Maine with my wife. We were on our honeymoon. We were driving, we had no hotel, we had nothing booked, we just had a rental car, and we're just going to end up where we ended up. We drove past an inn, and I got to be honest, the only thing I knew about inns is Robert Newhart owned one on a TV show that I watched in the 70s and maybe early 80s, so I didn't have a clue what an inn was. We walked in, we said, hey, this is our honeymoon, we don't have a room, we don't have anything. This overlooked the ocean, it was beautiful. They looked at our information. They thought about it, and she goes, "Yeah, I can get you a room for about, whatever price, really low." And I was like, "You can do that?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm the manager. It's my inn. I can do anything I want." And so said, "By the way, they've got free food at happy hour. So go down and grab a drink and grab some food." We got down there, and they were like, "You guys are from Texas?" And we said, yeah. And they said, "Well, do you like lobster?" Yeah. They said, "Well, do you know the difference between cheap lobster and expensive lobster?" We were like, "Oh, we had no clue." And they said, "Well, expensive lobster has a really nice tablecloth and nice music playing in the background and candlelight. And cheap lobster you eat at a picnic bench. And there's a great place about 10 minutes up the road if you really want to get cheap, great lobster." And for those of us, it was like learning to speak a new language. So it was really incredible. They did a great job taking care of us, making us feel really welcome. So.
I love that. And I love finishing today on a high note about some things that we've seen in the industry that have been positive, that were incredible experiences, and doing the things that we talked about here today, just about putting the customer first and caring about that customer experience, I think was phenomenal. We do need to make an announcement of the winner of our Bose headphones today. Our winner is Rachel Baer. Rachel Baer, last name spelled B-A-E-H-R. Rachel Baer, congratulations. You're the winner of a pair of Bose headphones. So get in touch with us. We'll get you those headphones. Jesse, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you write and sing a song for Rachel Baer congratulating her on her headphones?
Rachel, this is your moment. Time to celebrate right now. That's all I got.
Perfect. And it's a fantastic way to wrap up our Hospitality Industry Roundtable. Thank you so much to our 4 industry experts today, Michael, Jesse, Chris, and Francis. Thank you all so much for joining us here on the Industry Roundtable, sharing your thoughts, sharing your expertise, and we look forward to doing it again soon, hopefully.
Thanks, guys.
Sounds great. Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And everyone, thank you for tuning in and watching along with us today. We appreciate it very much. We appreciate your feedback, your interactivity with us throughout this roundtable. Stay tuned for more. We'll be back soon with another Hospitality Roundtable. But until then, I've been your host today, Tyler Kern. Thanks for watching.